Good morning or good afternoon to everyone who is attending this KAATSU Global webinar. My name is Steven Munatones, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of KAATSU. And today's webinar is simply answering any questions that you may have regarding your products, the technology, the mechanism that occurs inside your body with KAATSU, where to put on the bands, how to turn on the unit. Um, what to expect. And so, what you can do is either raise your hand in the uh, function buttons down below, or send a um, question in the Q&A, and I can go about and answer anything that you have. We have two people who raised their hands. Okay, let's see. I'll get to, let's see, where is. I'm trying to find out where the uh, who raised their hand. Sorry, I'm looking for who raised their hands. Um, where is it? There are a number of people in the seminar. I can't find. Let's see who raised their hands, and I will get to it as soon as I find who raised their hand. Ah, Agnes. Here we go. Okay, sorry about that. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Agnes.
Hi. Yeah, I read Dr. Mercola religiously, and he recommends them. So I bought a set. I
Uh,
didn't get it yet. I bought a
okay.
set from Japan. It's the manual ones that you have to put on yourself. Okay.
Okay.
I understand there's at least three types of bands, including the manual ones I bought. And there's a couple more that cost versions that cost more that have more electronic or digital type. Uh, and I know that he recommended Dr. Mercola. Well, anyhow, I wasn't prepared to spend that much money at the moment, so I bought the manual ones from Japan.
Okay. Okay.
And so I was wondering if you had any suggestions about what to do or not to do since I am going to be using those for the moment.
Okay.
By the way, I'm 80 years old tomorrow.
Oh, congratulations. Your voice sounds like it's 45.
Well, I feel very healthy. That's my specialty, staying well.
Good, good. So, all the Katsu bands that are out there in the marketplace, I believe Katsu Global, we've made one, two, three, we've made six different types. All the bands are the same, meaning that they're the same length, they're the same width. The air bladder inside is it's made of different materials over the years, but it's the same function. And so, whether you bought it in Japan or the United States, it would function the same way. We call it different names: the M1, the M6, the Master, the Nano, the C2, C3, C4, but they all do the same thing. They do the same thing because the intention was the exact same. However, some people do not want to use a smartphone. Other people like to use infrared. Other people like to collect the data. And so we've made different versions of the same product. So you would use the bands that you bought in Japan the same way that you would use the bands that are in the United States or Europe or South America or Asia. And fundamentally, when you receive the band, you only want to put the band in two locations. One is the upper arm, and I actually have one of the bands on my upper arm here, and I'm sitting down, so I won't stand up. But the second place that you would put it is in the upper leg, very high up on your leg next to your groin. So the first place, if I'm gonna zoom out here. So the first place is that little crease in between your bicep and your shoulder, that little crease that everybody has. This is where the bicep connects. And the same thing happens in your tricep. You want to put it in that little area. And you want to put it in that little area because then it allows you freedom of movement to move your arm any which way. Same thing on your leg. When you put it high up on your groin, you can walk, you can cycle, you can garden, you can wash dishes, you can do anything, and it won't impede your movement. If, for example, I put a band and I put it right on top of my bicep, and I wanted to lift weights or do push-ups or even wash my car or walk my dog, the fact that it was on my bicep, and if I flex my arm in any way, it would actually occlude or cut off the blood supply that you go here because it's right on the muscle. You want to put it right up high on the arm and on the leg. And then so that's the placement of the band, the type of band, and then how you want to use it is you really want, especially if you're 80, but also if you're 70, 60, 50, or 40, you always want to use the KAATSU cycle mode, which that means that the band inflates and then deflates, inflates and then deflates. And the reason why Dr. Mercola and other physicians, trainers, etc., know that that works is again, I have the band on one arm and not on the other. And I don't know if you can see, but this is my normal color skin. I don't have the band on this arm. And this is my much more red uh, hand where I have the band on. So when this band inflates, what happens is the blood is trapped in my limb, or not trapped. It actually goes in normally and then it comes back slowly for 30 seconds. And that creates this situation where I have more blood in the limb where I have the KAATSU bands on. Now, when that band deflates, so inflates, and then the blood is engorged in the limb, so it inflates. And then when it deflates, the blood comes whooshing back out. And when that blood is coming out, sort of like a dam that lets the water flow, when that blood comes back out, we call it shear stress. And that's when the blood is rushing against the walls of your veins and capillaries. That is allowing the capillaries, it's a little bit of a complicated biochemical process, but that allows your vascular tissue, your capillary veins and arteries, to become more elastic as they were when we were in our 20s and 30s and 40s. And so that is why a Dr. Mercola, a Dr. Chow, a Dr. Nakajima, and I can go on and on, appreciate the simplicity of KAATSU because by putting bands on your upper arm or upper leg, you can induce this shear stress with the blood going against the vascular tissue and then allowing it to become more pliable, more elastic. And there you have KAATSU in, 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
mine don't have connection to any other device.
Oh, okay.
So
Uh,
I think they're just plain bands. I hope I don't know how they inflate or deflate. I'm not sure how they work.
okay.
I didn't spend yeah, there's another one that costs quite a bit more money. I just bought
Okay.
plain bands.
Okay. In that case, it's more work. And I did the person who invented this was a Dr. Sato out of Tokyo, Japan. I met him in 2001. At the time, we didn't have what we call our pneumatic bands, the bands that inflate and deflate. At the time, what we did is we put the bands on our arms and then released every 30 to 40 seconds. And then we wrap the band and then release, wrap the band and release. I remember meeting Dr. Sato in July in Tokyo. July in Tokyo is like southern Florida or South Texas in July, just humid as can be. And I wondered why I met a doctor, Dr. Sato, and he had a headband around his head. I soon found out why, because in humidity, if you're wrapping a band, releasing the band, wrapping the band, releasing the band, wrapping the band, releasing the band, you perspire a lot. And so if you have these type of non-pneumatic bands, that's what you would have to do in order to replicate this, what we call the cut cycle um, process and get these benefits of the vascular for
Oh,
your vascular tissue.
oh, wow. So
Yeah,
yeah, sounds
it,
like a lot of work.
it is a lot of work. It's not impossible, but it is a lot of work. Just wrapping and releasing the bands itself is a good workout. And I can attest because Dr. Sato taught me that method, you know, 25 years ago. Uh, so, why don't you receive the band and we can talk when you get the bands and try to figure out the best way for you to get the benefit from those.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take care. And we have Octavio.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. I have your KAATSU B2 arm
Okay.
and leg cuffs, and I've been using it for the last three months. And
Okay.
obviously, I went through all the videos, and it says don't use both at the same time, which I don't.
Yeah.
I'm in my 50s, and I lift a lot of weights, and I use it when I do different body parts. Obviously, upper
Uh-huh.
body, I use the arm cuffs, lower body, I use the leg cuffs. My only question to you is based on my age, it says do not go higher than the lowest compression rating. I've used the medium rating, and I seem to be performing perfectly well. It's
Okay.
I my, just to give you a benchmark, I am squatting as much as I did 20 years ago.
Okay.
So my question is there any issue if I go on use it at a medium level compression cycle where it ramps up at a higher pressure level than the lowest pressure level for my age group?
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm in 55.
55. Okay. So when we give instructions, it's
Hmm.
to everybody.
All
And
right.
there's always outliers like you who
Okay.
are very fit, very strong, etc. The we always want you to start at least with one cut cycle set in the very beginning at low.
Hmm.
The reason we do that is you as an athlete know that warming up is very important. You and I don't go in the weight room and all of a sudden start pounding out leg presses and bench press at our max weight. We
Correct.
warm up a bit. Same thing happens with our vascular tissue, our capillaries, veins, and arteries. We have to warm them up. And when we put the KAATSU B2 or C4, any of our units on first, we want to start in the low pressure so our veins can actually get used to expanding.
Hmm.
Thereafter, you can increase the medium, you can increase the high, provided you have what we call fast capillary refill time.
Hmm.
And again, here's my hand without KAATSU, here's my hand with KAATSU. And we check our capillary refill time by a very simple method. They actually use this method back, as far as we can find out, back in the American Civil War, way back when. And that is you put a finger or a thumb into the palm of your hand, press firmly, and then release. And you see how the blood is evacuated and then comes back in? That
Hmm.
is the capillary refill time. And that time should be as close to 1 second as you can count, 1001, 1002, 1003. So if I press here and I start counting 1001, so it's about 1 second. If it's 1 second, then that is your body telling you you can increase in pressure from medium to high.
Hmm.
If I pressed and I released and it kept being white for 2 or 3 seconds, 1001, 1002, 1003, and if it were still white, that is a visual indication that the pressure is either too high or you've wrapped the bands too much. And so what you can do during your workout is, and if you're using your legs, you do the same process on your thigh or your calf. And what you do is you put your finger into your, let's say your quadricep, your thigh, press, release. If it comes back quickly and you're on the medium setting, that is your own body telling you you can go up if you would like.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the most simple, the most direct way that we want. And the reason why is when I press and release and it comes back very quickly, as you just saw, that means you've got total engorgement of blood in the limb and blood is going in at every heartbeat. So dun 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 dun, blood is
Hmm.
continuing to go in and blood is slowly coming out. This is exactly what we want. And especially when you're doing your training is exactly what we want. This is precisely the reason why KAATSU was developed. Only if I pressed and it was 1001, 1002, 1003, and this was still white, this is an indication that you're using the KAATSU as a tourniquet. That means blood isn't going in normally and isn't coming back out normally. There's a delay. And so you
Hmm.
want to absolutely avoid that.
Okay.
But I think, just listening to you summarize your training with the B2, it sounds like you're spot on.
One quick follow-up question.
Mhm.
It says to determine if your band is too tight to use one finger or two fingers. Depending on where you insert the finger between your, like, for example, your
Yeah.
arm and the band, it can vary.
Yeah.
Which finger do you use and
Uh,
at what
I
point do
use the
okay,
forefinger,
all
the
right.
forefinger, not the
Uh-huh.
thumb. It's but generally the forefinger, and then you want to put it right where the band. Let's see here, right where the
Mm-hmm.
band is. Shoot, let's see how I can show this on the video adequately. Um, right where the band has one flap, not two flaps.
Okay.
So see, you want to put it in this, right under here,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to when I flap it over, there's two
Mm-hmm.
layers of
Correct.
fabric.
Yes.
That would
Right.
be that wasn't the intention. The intention is when they're just a one layer of
Fabric.
fabric.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. That was all.
Okay. Okay. Good luck. And then we have one more raised hand. Hello, Patricia. You can unmute, then we can hear your question.
There we are. Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
Yes,
Oh,
we can hear you now.
hiya, Stephen. I'm in Australia
Uh-huh.
and I'm just learning about KAATSU. I don't have KAATSU myself yet because I wanted to learn more about it. And I also wanted to find out if there were any trainers in Australia that I could network with or any sort of support in Australia.
Yeah. There are we have quite a number of users in Australia. Um, most of the people who know Katsu well are, as you can imagine, in Sydney. Um,
Yes,
uh, in particular, there's a 63-year-old woman, quite accomplished athlete in the past. She had some health issues, and she's quite knowledgeable. If you send an email to me at info, at
Yeah.
katsu.com and just say,
Yeah.
hey, this is Patricia from Australia, and we talked on the webinar. Is there anybody in Australia I should talk to? Then I could put you two in touch.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm not far from Sydney.
Okay.
I'm a little bit older than her. I'm
Okay.
a trainer and I train myself as well.
Okay.
So and I'm very interested in KAATSU and have read everything. I just have felt sort of a little bit in the dark as to how to go to the next step. So that's
Okay.
terrific. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
and she's a very nice woman, very personable. She loves to explain, and I'm sure you two will get along. And even if it's on the telephone or
Yeah.
WhatsApp or something, and then that's what I
Yeah.
can do. I think,
Yeah.
and thank
No,
you very
that's
much. I don't know what
terrific.
time it is in Australia right now, but uh,
It's 7 a.m. So
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. But
okay,
I'll email you after this, and I appreciate that. That will definitely give me the confidence to invest in the product for myself and also to learn more about it for potential clients. So
okay.
yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.
Okay, we have Joanne.
Yes, hello.
Hello, hello, Joanne.
I have a quick question. I did
Yes.
get some information from Kim through some emails.
Okay.
However, I'd like to know what body parts are available, like are going to get some workout when I'm using the armbands, and which body parts are going to get some work when I'm using the leg bands.
Okay. I know this sounds surprising, but you can work on any body part while the band is either on your arms or your legs, and that includes your core. And
Oh,
allow me to explain. So, um, we have one vascular system. So all of our veins and capillaries from our head down to our toe are interconnected in some way. We have one heart that pumps out the blood, and then the blood goes all the way. It goes to our right hand, our left leg, our right leg, through our torso, in our brain, and back to our heart.
okay.
So when you have one band on one arm, what you're doing is you have more blood in that one limb. Let's just take one band at a time. So you have more blood in that one limb. But the blood is in this closed loop system. Now, if I have less blood, if I have more blood in this area, by necessity, I have less blood in the rest of the area. And so the brain knows that. Our brain is an incredible organ. And it, for example, starts to create small capillaries in the brain because the brain is smart enough to know that it's the last organ that we want no blood to go. So
Huh.
automatically, when I have band on one arm and I have more blood in this arm than I have this arm, the brain starts to react immediately and responsibly. In the same way, when, for example, when my wife and I go walking, we have a dog and we like to walk the dog in the evening after dinner or before dinner. And what happens is we have one set. And so she'll use the arms and I'll use the legs or vice versa.
Uh-huh.
In the case that I have that it's my turn to use the leg bands, I'm walking. So obviously my legs are being worked out. But at the same time, I don't usually, but I can. I can do as I'm walking, I can walk in a very exaggerated manner, using my
Sure. Arms.
my arms. In that case, my biceps, my triceps, my forearms are being worked out even though the bands are on my legs. Now, when
Oh.
the bands engorge a limb in blood, in this case, when I'm walking with the leg bands on, that stress that I'm creating on my legs by walking or
Mhm.
my biceps by moving them in an exaggerated manner send a signal to my brain And then the brain goes, hey, you have some stress in your body. We're going to send out growth hormone. Now, those
Oh,
growth hormone go through our vascular system, which is ubiquitous, which is all over our body. And
sure.
when the growth hormone goes throughout our body, it looks for cells that are under stress. Now, every cell in the human body has, and I'm just going to exaggerate here, has a little receptor. Imagine
Hmm.
my hand is a cell, and it's got a little receptor. If that cell is injured, damaged, strained, or undergoing stress, like walking or doing, exaggerated bicep
Lifting.
curls, this little receptor says, "Hey, over here, growth hormone, help me out."
Oh,
And then the growth hormone goes, it circumvents all the cells that are not under stress or not being worked out. It bypasses those and goes to the
the
cells
one
where
that's
there is a receptor. And it
right.
does say, hey, help me out over here. So whether we have the bands on our legs or our arms, the body parts where we want to work, you just work that. It could be a sit-up, it could be a plank, it could be
Mhm.
simple walking, it could be lifting weights or using some kind of resistance bands. Whatever part that you're working on, whether it has a band on or not, will receive will send out signals saying, "Hey, help me out here."
Here, okay, okay. So that's an excellent answer. That answers my question.
Does it
And
help injuries?
I have another quick question.
Uh-huh.
Would it also help injured areas? Like, let's say you have a strained, calf muscle,
Right.
for instance.
Yes, same thing. So a strain, a tear, rupture of an Achilles tendon, a twisted ankle, a knee replacement, hip replacement, whatever it
Okay.
is, the same concept
Same
holds.
concept applies. Okay.
Yes.
So,
And but now what is interesting and what uh, we recommend this all the time to individuals, but especially for professional athletes, whether it's NFL players or ice hockey players, baseball players, etc. When they get injured, or soldiers, when they get injured, it's usually one side or the other, usually.
uh,
So there may be an athlete who ruptures a tendon, or it may be a hairdresser. It may be someone in the service industry, a waiter who has tendonitis or something. Now, in these cases, whether the person is a professional athlete or simply a waiter who can't afford time off,
mhm,
what we do there is we put one band on the injured limb.
uh,
And why? Because in this case, this athlete or this employee wants to rehabilitate as quickly as possible. And so what we do is we just totally focus on the injured limb.
uh-huh.
And in that case, we don't put the bands on the other side. We just do it on one side and really focus on the arm. And I'll give you
Arm.
one example. My son was 14 years old. He was messing around with his friends and he broke his wrist and his humerus, his upper arm. I went to the hospital and when the orthopedic surgeon was there, they set the bones, they put some pins in, and then when they were putting the cast, I made a request to the person who was making the cast, and he looked at me very funny, and I said, "Can you put the cast a little bit lower than normal?" And and he said, "Well, no, I can't do that." And I said, "Well, allow me to explain. Give me 1 minute." And I explained KAATSU in 1 minute. And he goes, "Oh, that sounds interesting, but we've never done that." This was way back in 2014. He goes, "Wow, I've never heard that. It sounds good, but I can't do that. I'm a licensed healthcare professional. I have to do what I'm told." And I said, "Well, can you talk to the orthopedic surgeon for me? Just ask him."
Mhm,
And
mhm.
he goes, "Okay." So he calls up the orthopedic surgeon, and then the orthopedic he explained as he could, and then orthopedic says, he said, "Is the father there?" And I was standing right next.
Yeah.
Yes. And I said, I explained to him a little more in depth. Make a long story short, the orthopedic surgeon said, that sounds interesting, but I've never heard about it. I'm going to call my mentor, the man who he trained under. And I said,
Uh-huh.
great. And he goes, and I go, by the way, who is he? Just, I don't know why. It turned out to be the chief medical officer of our company. I
Oh,
trained him. And he calls up Dr. Chow and and they obviously were on first name Dr. Chow, yes, and he called him David. And he goes, I have a person here a father here who has a 14-year-old son. I put pins in the wrist, etc. And he goes, he wants to do this thing called KAATSU. And he asked for, and uh, Dr. Chow goes, is that Munatones, my last name? And
yes.
he goes, are you Munatones? I said, yes, it is. And everybody started to laugh. And so he ended up adjusting the cast a little more.
Cast.
I was able to put the band on my son's upper arm. And so for the next few weeks, we just did KAATSU on that broken arm.
Broken arm. Excellent. Excellent. Wow. So
Does it work well to get
now, so should, yeah, I mean, do you have to take like protein after I do this little workout thing with the bands?
No, I mean, what we always recommend is, everybody should obviously have as healthy a diet as possible. If you do
Uh-huh.
take supplements or anything to assist muscle building activity, that's
Mm-hmm.
great. Go ahead and do
Okay.
it. You don't have to,
No.
because when you create stress in the muscle, that automatically sends a signal up to the brain through the central nervous system. It actually goes to your pituitary gland, is right behind your eyeball, and it automatically and naturally sends out growth hormone, automatically and naturally. So you're getting the best, most healthy, your own growth hormone to create a healthy muscle.
Muscle. Great.
If you want
Okay.
to enhance that by, additional protein or other things that you can do
Creatine or
by
whatever. Sure.
by
Okay.
creating
Okay.
whatever, go by all means, go ahead. We actually had, I forgot, I think it was in Toronto, and I forget the name of the university. They actually did a test. They did, if I remember, they did, it is a research test that just came out last year. They tested KAATSU, people who do KAATSU, and people who only take creatine after weightlifting.
Uh-huh.
And I will try to find that study and
Uh-huh.
send it to you. Obviously it was fascinating for us, but if again,
Very.
like Agnes, if or Patricia, if you send me a email at
Yeah.
info@katsu.com, I can try to find that study and send it to you if you have some interest.
Great. Thank you. Okay. One more very quick question. Which I guess there's the Bluetooth one and the wired one.
Mhm.
What's going to help me make the decision about which one to purchase?
Um, to be honest, if cost is an issue, I would go with the lower one, which is the C4, which is the
C4.
connected
Hmm.
tubes.
Yes.
The people who use B2 are uh, they love data. The real
Ah,
big advantage of the B2 is it collects all the data in your phone.
right, right.
And for some people, for example, when we have teammates using it or even friends, they like to share their data that's on the
Yeah, I
thing.
see. Okay.
Sometimes it's for accountability, sometimes it's for a sense of competition, and sometimes, and we have this often with our professional athletes, when they have the data, they send the data directly to their and so this is my data that I've had over the last few. They send it to their team doctor, and some
Uh-huh.
people send it to their orthopedic surgeon. And then what we do is we teach the healthcare professionals how to actually read this data.
Oh,
Is the data, is it good or is it bad or is it so-so? And so based on the data, we can give recommendations. Oh, put the band a little tighter, put it a little looser, do it more often, do it less often, etc. So
Okay.
the B2 provides much more information. Some people go, well, I don't need all that information. I just want the KAATSU effect. So in that case, just the lesser one, the C4, is perfectly fine. Again, the bands are exactly the same, the protocols are exactly the same, everything's the same, except one, you get additional data. And like Octavio, what we have on the app is a safety mechanism in where because it knows your age, we can uh, tell you, or not we, but the app can say, "Hey, that's a little too much for you. Lower
Uh-huh.
it down." Now, in that
Oh,
case, it's not forcing you to lower it down. It's just saying, "Hey, based on our data, that might be a little much." But if you're like Octavio, you're you're capable of reaching that. Again,
right.
we provide information for sort of the quote average person, and there's
Okay.
always outliers, people who are more fit or people who are less fit.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So now, and the shipping costs are the same either to the US or to Canada. Is that correct?
Um, well, we ship from Los Angeles.
Okay,
I would think I'm not responsible for shipping.
no
I,
problem.
I would think
I'll
it'd
ask.
be a little bit more.
Yes, to Canada.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we do have a distributor in Canada who ships domestically.
Oh,
He's in Toronto.
yeah,
Uh,
that would be perfect.
yeah, yeah. The best thing to go to katsucanada.com,
Uh-huh.
I think, or dot no dot co dot
Dot .ca. Dot
ca.
.ca.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he he has the exact same everything as we do.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much. Now I can leave my email address through this Zoom or through
No, send it at info@katsu.com by email. And then
Okay,
when you
thank you
send
very
that,
much.
yeah, when you send that email, I will then provide you that information on the study and also introduce you to Mark. Mark is the Canadian distributor.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your help, Stephen. That's been
Okay.
very helpful. Okay,
Okay.
take care. Bye-bye.
Here. Okay. I think that's the number of people who have raised their hand. And now I'll get to the Q&A questions. The first one is, what do I do if my leg bands get wet? Well, it depends. If you're using the B2 product, um, and you have the controller on the band itself, uh, if the band got wet, no problem. If the controller got wet, I hope it works. The controller here is not waterproof. And if water gets into the controller, it will rust out the circuit board and battery, and it probably won't work. But if the band gets wet, it's actually made of neoprene. And so the bands can go in water. We actually do what we call KAATSU aqua therapy. And they can be literally submerged in water, but not the controllers. Those are not waterproof at all. So if your band gets wet, not an issue. Let's say you were using it when you were walking and you went outside and suddenly there was rainfall came and it got wet. As long as the controllers don't get wet, you're fine. Um, Next question is, when is a good time to cycle? She is referring to when is a good time to use the KAATSU cycle mode. And this is on the B2. Here's the cycle mode. And here, it's always a good time. It's always a good time to cycle. In fact, I've been using KAATSU since 2001, and I only cycle 100% of the time. Just cycle. Cycle, pressure on, pressure off, pressure for 30 seconds, off, pressure for 30 seconds, off. So cut cycle is that process where it engorges the limb and blood when the band is compressed. And then when the band is released, then the blood comes out of the arm or leg. And when the blood is coming out of the arm or leg, it's creating that shear stress. And the shear stress is creating the elasticity of the nitric oxide and vascular endothelial cells to allow your vascular tissue to become more elastic. Now, one thing that is very important is that um, is that when we look at the patent, the intellectual property of KAATSU, our key patent is a method to increase the strength of the vascular tissue using a compression and decompression system. That is the strength of KAATSU. Next question is, what can I expect? I think this question is, what can I expect if I do KAATSU? Um, it depends what you are looking to achieve. So we put KAATSU and its effects in three different buckets. The first bucket is performance. The second bucket is rehabilitation. And the third bucket is recovery. There is a fourth bucket, but I'll leave that to the side for right now. The first bucket, if performance means, at least in our world, can I increase my strength, my muscle mass, my stamina, my speed, my balance, or my agility? So if you're using KAATSU in the performance realm and doing different things in the performance realm, then those speed, stamina, strength, muscle mass, agility, balance, mobility will improve. Now, it won't improve after 30 minutes, but it will improve over time. If you're looking at the bucket of rehabilitation, then whether it's a skin, a laceration of the skin, if it's a muscle tear, if it's a bone break, or if it's a ligament or tendon issue, whether it's tendonitis or a tear in a labrum or a Achilles tendon, then in this bucket, your healing process will be faster. If you're looking in the recovery bucket, then in this bucket, if you are overly stressed at work, if you have jet lag, if you have insomnia, then all of those factors more than likely will improve. Now, whether you look at performance, rehabilitation, or recovery, each of these buckets has different protocols, different things to do. So, for example, if I'm looking at performance, and let's say I want to increase or make my uh, arms stronger, specifically my triceps. In this case, you would put the bands on and then move the muscle, move your arm slowly as you are contracting the muscle. So make a muscle and then move it slowly. In this case, you do that as much as you can until the muscle fatigues, gets tired, rest for 20 seconds, and then you do it again. This is the fastest way to build muscle. So moving it slowly and contracting the muscle as you're going. Now, if you are looking at speed, let's say you want to increase your club head speed, and let's say you're a golfer, then you would put the bands either on your arms or legs, and then do your normal golf swing with the bands on. Do that 5 to 10 times. You will start to fatigue. Then you take the bands off, shake out your arms or shake out your legs, take a sip of water, and then go ahead and do some more drives. You will feel a lightness and a speed that you did not know you had. So those are two different things. Now, if you're working on balance, agility, stamina. There are other protocols that you can find that you can use that we can teach you. Just send a question to info@kaatsu.com and we have those protocols for you. If you're looking at rehabilitation, it depends. If you have a laceration in the skin, that protocol is different than if you had a tendon rupture. That little tendon actually little comes off of the bone. Those are two different things. Why? Because you can engorge the surface capillaries in your skin quite easily. Engorging your ligament and tendon in blood is more difficult. It takes longer and it takes a greater pressure. So if you're looking at, let's say you had a plastic surgery for some reason, or you had some surgery and you're looking at, having the skin repair itself as quickly as possible, you could use a lighter pressure and a shorter duration. If you have something like tendonitis or some kind of tear in a ligament or tendon, in this case,
Okay.
you would put a higher pressure and a longer time. And so what you do is you there are different protocols depending on what body part is hurt or injured. And then if you're looking at recovery, let's say that you had a trip across country, or you went to Europe or Australia or Asia and you came back and your body clock is all messed up. In this case, you put the bands on your arms, ideally an hour before your intended bedtime, and simply do shoulder rolls in the low pressure cycle mode. What this does, it actually loosens up the vascular tissue of your neck. And when your vascular tissue is loosened up and you've activated your parasympathetic nervous system, the likelihood of you getting sleepy and going to bed will be greater. And your sleep quality will more than likely improve. So each of these has a different protocol. And so what you can expect would be different based on what you're looking for. And we have innumerable protocols to help you achieve whatever your goal is. So what I suggest is send an email to info@kaatsu.com. Tell us what your goal is or what you want to improve or get rid of. And then we'll send you out very specific protocols to use with your KAATSU products to achieve that. Um, Next question is, if I have to leave early, can I get a copy of the recording? Yes, we post all of our webinars on our website. You actually, if you can scroll way down to the bottom of our website homepage, you'll see a YouTube link. Click on that link, and then that gets you to a recording of this webinar and all our previous webinars. I think we have 800 or 900 recordings up there. Um, is there a trick to keeping the leg bands from sliding down? Um, it's not a trick, it's actually how we put on the bands. Always put, and this is a common problem, always put on the leg bands while you're sitting down. You should never put the leg bands on when you're standing up. When you're standing up, the girth of your leg is bigger. When you're sitting down, it's smaller. When you're sitting down and you put the band around your leg and you have a one finger tightness, then you do your cut cycle and then you stop the machine and re-tighten the band. So you manually put on the band, do a cut cycle or two as you're seated, and then re-tighten the band slightly tighter because the cut cycle allows the vascular tissue to become more elastic, and it allows you to actually tighten the band even more. You tighten the band slightly more, and then what happens there? You can stand up and you can go for a walk, as my wife and I do, or do Zumba as she sometimes does, or whatever she does. So that's how you put on the leg bands properly. and that will prevent them from sliding down. If you put them when you're standing up and you don't put them on with the one finger tightness and you don't go through this cut cycle and then retighten, the likelihood of them slipping down becomes greater. Next question. I have a question about charging the battery. Is it best to plug in every night or wait until the battery is a certain percentage charged? Uh, in my case, because I'm using KAATSU every day, but not for very long, I just automatically charge it like I do my phone. Even if my phone hasn't gotten all the way down, to 10% or 20%, I still charge it. I just get in that habit because in the times that I have forgotten to charge my bands, and I might be on a business trip somewhere, I might be overseas, I might be on vacation, and I just forget, then when I want to use KAATSU, inevitably the battery is out. So you can do either method. Um, I'm the kind of person um, who, when I start to see my gas tank go around, about a third or a quarter, I always go to the gas station. Um, some people wait to the very, very end, and I'm just that type of person who wants to be safer rather than sorry. So either way works. But I would, you know, if you use them frequently, plug them in every day. If you're not using them, if you let's say you're using them only 3 times a week, and let's say you're only using them for half an hour a day, then plugging it in every third or fourth day should be fine. Next question is, um, this question was from Patricia. It said, I'm a trainer of seniors in Australia. I'm trying to find a KAATSU trainer here in Australia. And yes, we will get you in touch with others. Next question is, 8 weeks into rehab for shoulder surgery. When I use KAATSU to do physical therapy exercise, it might be too much. Should I do the physical therapy with leg bands and not on my arms? I'm pretty sore when I use them on my arms. Um, uh, yes, I think earlier in the conversation, you can put the bands on anywhere. If I were in your case and I had an issue and I'm recovering from surgery on my shoulder, what I would do there is I could put the bands on my legs, as you suggest, and have it do the cut cycle, cycle on, cycle off, not on your arms, and do the physical therapy. So your intuition is absolutely correct. Do you recommend cuts daily, or should you have days break in between? If so, how many days break are recommended? Is there an optimal work to rest ratio? This depends on which bucket that you're working on. Are you working on the performance, rehabilitation, or recovery? If you're working on performance or recovery, I would do it daily. If I were working on the recovery rehabilitation bucket, I would actually do it twice daily. Um, the good thing about KAATSU is you're not breaking down, or you shouldn't be breaking down muscle tissue. You shouldn't be tearing the muscle tissue. Now, you might if you are using the KAATSU bands and you start to lift weights, and the weights might be a little heavy. There, the muscle fiber could be torn a little bit, but we always recommend use extraordinarily light weights. And so you won't be tearing the muscle fiber. You'll simply be producing growth hormone. The reason why you have soreness after you do KAATSU, after you do weights, is because you tear the muscle fiber. There's actually micro trauma caused in the muscle, and this is the soreness that we feel afterwards. But again, I use KAATSU daily, but I'm obviously a huge advocate of KAATSU, and it served me extraordinarily well over the decades. My parents, father 90, had lung cancer, did KAATSU right through his radiation treatments, right through. Um, my mother, 88, breast cancer, two knee replacements, did KAATSU right through, no break. And they seem to both be doing very well in their later years. Now, if you are pushing yourself a lot, and we have had this phenomenon occur with Olympic gold medalists, I mean, the elite of the elite. And there were two that I can think of that they used KAATSU, and they called me up saying, I am totally fatigued. And I said, okay, what did you do? They explained to me how they incorporated KAATSU into their workout, and they did everything right. They were just surprised how fatigued they were. And I said, yes, because they thought if I don't lift heavy weights, then I won't be fatigued. And that's not the case. Just because you go walking with KAATSU doesn't mean you won't be fatigued like you would if you went for a 10K run. The KAATSU is putting stress on your body. And so if you need a day rest, by all means take it. But remember, on that quote recovery day, what you can do is simply watch television. You could read a book. You can do any kind of exercise that you would like as you have the bands on either your arms or your legs, doing a low pressure cycle sets. So you don't have to work out all the time with KAATSU. You can be doing recovery KAATSU on your arms or legs using light pressure in the cycle mode. And this will help you very much over time. Again, we have low, medium, high, and custom pressure. Low, medium, high, and custom is not the list of what is less good and what is better. So low is appropriate for everybody at that level. Medium is appropriate for everybody at that level. High and custom. It would look like a triangle actually. Low is best for most people. Medium is good for, let's say, Octavio, who's a very fit 55-year-old. High would be appropriate, let's say, for those NHL or NFL or NBA players, and custom is like for the elite of the elite. So everybody has their specialty. However, even if you're a 55-year-old golfer and you're using KAATSU, to improve your golf game, either your tactile feel, your soft touch, or your club head speed, you can on occasion go up from from low to medium, medium to high in a very limited duration, limited time. So maybe the thing is, as I've offered before, send an email to info@kaatsu.com. Give us precisely what your goal is, and we could give you recommendations on what the right protocols are to use KAATSU most effectively. Next question is, I had arthroscopic surgery performed on my shoulder in December of last year. My questions are, when should I consider to start using the armbands? How many cycles and how often? So our soldiers, our Navy SEALs, our Army Rangers, our collegiate athletes, or we even have a stand-up comedian, been on movies and television often. When they get injured, it's like a alarm goes off on their head. They know what their next game is. They know when the playoffs start. They know when they next need to be on a movie set. They know when their vacation is, and so they immediately start KAATSU. In some cases, literally the day of their surgery, and we know that because they've sent us pictures of them doing KAATSU in their hospital bed. And so you had your surgery on December 2nd, so a month, what, 6 weeks ago. Um, Green light to start KAATSU. Totally green light to start KAATSU. Um, if for whatever reason you have your gun shy, you're a little bit nervous about using them on your arms right now, and we don't want to force anybody to do it, but if you're a little nervous, use them on your legs, do your physical therapy exercises on your upper body as the bands are on your legs. If you're not gun shy and you're willing to go, always use the KAATSU cycle mode, always in the low pressure mode while you're doing your physical therapy exercises or movements. You can start now. I would recommend that you go anywhere from 3 to 6 cycles, low pressure on your arms, at least once a day until you got full functionality or full range of motion back. Um, Next question is, I have varicose veins in my legs. How does this affect them? So, varicose veins are caused because in our veins going back up from our feet to um, our torso, the blood has to fight through gravity, has to fight against gravity. And along the way, they have these valves, and the valves protect the blood from rushing back down because of gravity. So the blood is uh, um, circulating through our body, and when it gets to our feet, it has to come back up to our torso. As it's going back up, it goes through these series of valves, and those valves are a little bit thicker uh, uh, vessel. And so what happens is when that part is less elastic than before, because of childbirth or a number of other reasons, the blood doesn't go normally back up smoothly. And what happens is, because of this malfunctioning valve, there's a backflow of blood. And that black flow we see as varicose veins. Now, what KAATSU does, it increases the elasticity of our vascular tissue. So these valves over time will also become more elastic. Now, because the valves are a thicker uh, uh, body part, it requires much more time to become equally as elastic. And what I mean by time, it will literally take anywhere from 9 to 18 months of KAATSU. The best form of KAATSU for those who have um, uh, uh, varicose veins is body weight exercises, something like squats, something like standing heel raises, something as simple as KAATSU walking, where you're walking as the bands are inflating and deflating. You never want to feel uncomfortable. You never want to feel lightheaded, just a comfortable um, walk. And I always recommend to people think about walking your dog. Your dog likes to mosey along and smell and take a pee here and there, and it's not overly vigorous for humans. And literally, that's the kind of pace you can do with KAATSU walking. Just go out, breathe fresh air, look at the flowers, wherever you are, and over time, being patient, doing it daily, that valve will become more elastic. Once it becomes more elastic, then this backflow of blood will not be there, and the blood will continue normally. And then, if there's no backflow of blood, you won't see the varicose veins. Next question is, are there any new results for KAATSU and degenerated cartilage with hip osteoarthritis? No, we have not done any controlled studies with degenerated cartilage with hip osteoarthritis. Um, uh, we have done some bone work with bones, but it won't be for your specific uh, case. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. Um, do you know if COTS bands are safe if we have intermediate AFib or atrial fibrillation? Um, they can be safe, but everybody's condition, their cardiac condition, is best known by your cardiologist. Um, from 2004 to 2014, before we actually created COTS Global, we did a 10-year study of over 12,000 patients, including 2,000 people who are undergoing cardiac rehab because of stents, heart attacks, strokes, or other kinds of heart disease, including AFib. Um, we did that study showing that KAATSU can be safe for those people. Now, in these cases, it was done under the supervision of a cardiologist, but the protocols that were developed are exactly the protocols that we use now for KAATSU. So we do COTS cycle mode only, not the COTS constant mode. We use the low pressure, only the low pressure, not a medium, not a high. We don't do things as you have cuts on. We don't do vigorous exercise, like we don't do jumping squats or running fast on a treadmill. Everything is done gently. Everything is done conservatively, moderate. We don't lift heavy weights. We might use some stretch bands or other things. So the first thing, of course, is to confirm with your own cardiologist that KAATSU is safe. We do have a lot of cardiac rehab information that if you send to KAATSU, info@kaatsu.com, we can send out to you so you can share with your cardiologist. And we have plenty of cardiologists who now do KAATSU, not only in Japan, but in the US and elsewhere. I'm a 72-year-old female with hyperlipidemia and previous TIA 20 years ago. Is KAATSU safe for me to use? Um, it can be, but again, like those with cardiac issues, you will need to first confirm with your doctor. I don't think it would be a problem, but again, um, we can't provide medical advice, and we always defer to your own medical professional who knows you best. Like the previous questionnaire, if your physician is not familiar with KAATSU, we can provide a variety of information for him or her to consider KAATSU for you. Or if they say that sounds good, then you follow our protocols very closely, or you should follow our protocols very closely, using the COTS cycle mode, using the low pressure, um, and other protocols that we can provide to you. Next question is completing one set of 6 cycles per day adequate to maximize results? Or should one do multiple sets of 6 cycles? Uh, it depends what your goals are. Again, is it human performance? Is it rehabilitation? Is it recovery? Um, I can't answer that unless I know what the goal is. If we know what the goal is, then it could be more than one set a day. It could be, um, but not necessarily. So I don't mean to beg off this question. I just need to know more information what your specific goal is. I use armbands 6 cycles on low pressure. Then I use low leg bands 6 cycles, and then leg bands on medium pressure for 3 cycles. I have osteoporosis. I'm 65 years old. Is this too much or okay? What can I do for bat wings? Okay, there's several questions there. The question on the leg bands is are you putting on the bands properly on your legs? So sit down, do as you do two cut cycle sets, and then retighten the bands. If because you have osteoporosis, it's best if you do some body weight exercises. For example, walking, simple walking, literally walking around your neighborhood, walking in your home, um, anything that's putting body weight on your legs is good. Like it could be standing in the kitchen making a meal. It could be taking clothes out of the washer, standing up and folding them on your kitchen table. That would be fine. I think as long as you're on the low pressure, doing 6 cycles is fine. And what can you do for bat wings? The best thing to do for bat wings are 3 exercises. You put the bands on your arms, then do KAATSU, sorry, we call it the KAATSU 3-point exercise, where you slowly open and close your fist slowly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that. That works your forearms. Then do a bunch of bicep curls. Again, just going up and down very slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you're making a muscle, so you want that muscle to be made. And then this is where the bat wings come in, and I'm going to try to do it here so you can see. Then you want to extend your arm down and out so you can see your tricep form. So that the bat wings or this muscle back here, you want to really work it slowly up and slow down. And then when it's down, you want to compress, you want to contract your muscle. So why do you do the hand clenches and bicep curls before your bat wing exercises, before your tricep exercises? Because you want to create stress in your arm before you work on your tricep. So hand clenches, bicep curls, and then tricep extensions. And do that daily while you're doing your 3 cycles on medium. Next question. Do you recommend increasing pressure as my body is getting used to it? Yes. Yes. Uh, it's amazing when I was in Japan and working with Dr. Sato and Dr. Nakajima and the other cardiologists there, how, we saw people who had various heart diseases, etc. And when I first saw them, they were, in my opinion, were just using incredibly high pressures. More so than me at the time. I was, in my late 30s, early 40s, and I was just shocked how they were doing it. And I said, Dr. Sato, Dr. Nakajima, how can this older woman be using such high pressure? They said, oh, Steve, because she's been doing it for 2 years, because she's been doing it daily, because she started out in low pressure. And she slowly, gradually, over the course of 2 years or however long they were working on, they had slowly and gradually increased the pressure. They increase pressure, but they don't increase the level, the weight. They increase the pressure. They don't walk faster. And so they're doing everything because as a cardiac rehab patient, they want to still be gentle on the body, but by increasing pressure, they can induce a greater stress on the muscle or the vascular tissue, and therefore get greater benefit. So over time, yes, increasing pressure by checking your capillary refill time is a very good thing. Um, Next question is, I do not have any KAATSU products, but I'm interested in one. What comes with the band as far as instructions are concerned? Um, we have been criticized because we provide too much information. Um, because KAATSU can be used in a wide variety of applications, performance, and that's speed, stamina, strength, agility, balance, mobility, rehabilitation, of skin, bone, muscle, and connective tissue, and recovery from stress, insomnia, jet lag, travel fatigue. And there's one other, longevity, which is more focused on the vascular elasticity. We have literally thousands of different protocols. Now, most of the protocols are based on our basic principles, which is the cut cycle, starting off and low, being well hydrated. But you get access to all of that. Like I said, we have probably over 800 videos um, in our YouTube channel. We have numerous books. Um, some are very, very high level scientific journals, and some are more user manual. So there's much more information available than most people would end up reading. We have hundreds of scientific studies. We have these webinars that have been going on regularly since the COVID pandemic. And so you get access to all of that. What is a safe protocol for someone who has had severe weight loss? I am 5'3" and now weigh 93 pounds normal weight. Before my lung cancer, I was 128 pounds. Um, so probably if you've gone from 128 to 93, I would assume that the tissue in your arms or legs is much less than before. You should be careful because if you don't have much muscle mass around your arms or around your legs, then be very gentle on your own body when you're putting on the bands. Be very, very gentle. So perhaps in the start, instead of a one finger tightness, you want to do a two finger tightness. So you would be able to put two fingers in, not just one. Next question is, since using the bands, my knee has been hurting when walking. Are the is the band causing this pain and why? I don't have this hurt before. It's very painful. Um, okay, so I've noticed all of these questions are coming from one person, and the same person asked the question before, saying, I don't have the COTS product, but now you're saying you have the product and you hurt while you're walking. I'm a little confused, but I'll answer this question. Since using the bands, my knee has been hurting when walking. Is the band causing this pain and why? If KAATSU is the only thing that has changed, then it would be more likely that that KAATSU is causing your pain. In this case, you should stop using KAATSU. Absolutely stop using KAATSU. There's no need. KAATSU should never cause pain. KAATSU, when properly used, should be relieving pain. So I would definitely recommend stop using the KAATSU. I'm not quite sure why it's causing this pain, but I'm not questioning if it is. I'm just saying why. Perhaps what you can do is send us an email at info@kaatsu.com and um, try to describe as carefully as possible what you're doing, how far you're walking, if you're walking upstairs or um, on concrete or what have you, how long you're using the bands or how long did you use your bands and at what pressure, and if you're putting your bands way up high on the groin. If you give us that description, then perhaps I can figure out what is causing this pain. Next question is, I usually wear a sciatic belt around my hips when walking and using my KAATSU on my legs. Could this cause any restrictions or vessel damage? Um, Sciatic belt. I don't know what a sciatic belt is. I'm sorry. I'm going to look it up very quickly. Sciatic belt. Okay. So it's a band that goes around your lower hip, um, around your lower hip. So it should not cause any restrictions or vessel damage at all. You can use the sciatic belt around your hips when you're walking and using your cots on your legs. I don't see any um, issue there. Um, the next question from the same person again is how frequently should one cycle arms, legs? How frequently should one cycle arms or legs? I see. Um, how frequently? I would say daily. Um, I always recommend people use KAATSU daily. It doesn't mean that you're using KAATSU in the same way. You could be using different protocols, but I would do it doing the KAATSU cycle mode where you have the pressure on, pressure off daily on my arms and my legs. This is my recommendation. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're working out with the KAATSU. You could be on, let's say, Tuesdays and Thursdays, simply watching television in the evening with your KAATSU on your legs. It could be if you work, for example, retail and you're on your feet or a first responder all day that you're just exhausted and you want to, when you go back home, you just want to relieve the stress of the day and the pressure that you've had, and then you do it on your legs. Maybe on other days you want to work your upper body and you want to do some vigorous exercise on your arm. So it all depends on what your goals are. Um, Next question is thoughts on using the C3. Um, Thoughts on using the C3. Um, Again, our products all do the same thing. I mean, some obviously collect data like the B2. Some you can share your data like the B2. The C3, you can detach the bands and use them in the constant mode. Um, but it does the same thing as all of our other products. The C3 was actually the design of the C3 was suggested by the Navy SEALs. They wanted us to ruggedize the product because before then we had this 2.0, and it was as you can imagine, the Navy SEALs use it in pretty harsh environments, and they wanted us to make sure that if the C3 fell, it wouldn't crack or break. And so we did that. I think the C3 is a great product. I usually have a C3 um, right at my desk, and here it is here. So I think we made this product in 2000 and probably 16 or 17. It's now 10 years old or thereabouts, and it's still, turn it on here. Oh, it still works. How often should my unit and bands be recalibrated for accuracy? Um, there should be no need to recalibrate for accuracy. Um, it is a mechanical part. There's a solenoid. Well, inside the unit is, where did I just put the? Oh, here it is. So inside every unit is a circuit board, um, a compressor, and a battery. And then that compressor shoots out air through a solenoid. The solenoid is a mechanical part. I don't recall what the life of the solenoid unit on whatever unit you have, but we still have units that we sold in 2014. I just came back from New York, and um, I was visiting an old customer, and one of his clients came in, and we were waiting in the lobby, and I noticed she was putting on our KAATSU Nano. We made the KAATSU Nano in 2014. So, at the time it was, 11 years. And I said to her, I said, "Oh, you're still using the KAATSU Nano?" She goes, "Oh, you know what it is?" I said, "Yes, I'm the CEO of the company." And she said, "No kidding." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "How often do you use that?" She goes in 3 times a week. She occasionally uses it on the weekends, and it's been going on for 11 years. The Nano was a bigger device. And so when you have a bigger device, the solenoid and the compressor were bigger. And so unless you're having, um, unless for whatever reason the product does not seem to fill up with air, it should be okay. Now, if the product seems to not have enough pressure or less pressure than before, it's more than likely it's not the controller unit that is a problem. There may be a leak in the band or a leak in the tube. Oops, a leak in the tubes. So that's usually 99% of the time. It's more a problem in the bands or the tubes rather than the controller unit. Um, I always try to raise my hand, but it doesn't show up for you. Sorry, maybe Kathleen. I see you. Kathleen, you can, hello, Kathleen?
I unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I did not understand the microphone,
Okay.
but I've been listening, and you've already answered so many of my questions that I'm currently using my old. Well, first of all, so the battery question, the C4.
Okay.
You answered that I can just go ahead and plug it in overnight. I don't have to worry about overcharging the battery, like the
No,
memory in the battery,
yeah.
correct?
Yeah, it's a lithium battery, so it should be not a problem.
Okay, then that's what I do. I use it every day. Uh, so one of my questions, and I have my old, this is amazing. This is the old C2 that
Oh, yes, yes,
that still works.
yes, yes. There,
A mul-
see, that was 2015 we made those.
I have a multitude of armbands and leg bands,
Okay.
two of each, but one of my issues is tendonitis in my right hand. I'm very right-handed and I do a lot of farm chores.
Okay.
So I find that plus I used to do a lot of sewing, which was
Oh,
thumb
yeah.
to finger grip for a
Yeah.
needle and tug. So I'm really trying to work on the tendonitis part because that interferes.
Yeah.
If I do the arm bands and then do some hand exercises to improve it's a carpal tunnel, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Um, what would you suggest for that?
So there's something very simple, and you might laugh as I say it, but when you're in the kitchen or near the dining room, whatever, take a damp cloth, and let's say this is a table with a band on, and simply go in a circle one way and the other. That's
And
your
have the
exercise
damp cloth on the counter.
on
So
the
it's
counter, and
hand.
just go in,
Okay.
clockwise and counterclockwise.
Okay. And I want
Um,
my wrist straight probably for that.
yes, yes. So you always want to do these exercises where you feel no pain.
Got it. Okay.
And then if that works or doesn't work, you might want to get maybe a tennis ball or something
Mm-hmm.
and squeeze up until the point that you feel discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you want to squeeze and feel discomfort. That's going too far. That's a signal that your body is sending to your brain saying, "Ooh, that was too far." Just squeeze a little bit.
Okay.
You can also take that same damp cloth and again, only go to the point where there's no pain or no discomfort, is sort of wring it out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Those simple movements and you should do that, maybe at the end of the day or maybe in my mother's case, she has arthritis. So she does all those things in the beginning of her day. So
Okay.
making breakfast, holding a skillet,
Uh-huh.
all the other things that she does in the home. She does all this in the beginning of the day, so then she gets some relief until the evening when it starts to flare up again.
Okay, that's interesting because when you mentioned the skillet, if I take the skillet, it's really hard on just
Yeah.
the weight of that is hard on my
Yes.
wrist. I feel like I need to support my wrist with my other hand to.
Yes. Same thing. You sound like my mother.
Oh, okay. I'm probably your mother's age as well.
Yeah.
Now another question I have, you answered the battery, but one of my main issues is keloid scars at my ankles. And it's
Okay.
from having psoriasis for like 25, 30 years. And I scratched until the point that I had the keloid scars. And I'm really trying to get the skin healthier there. So I use the leg bands and I do like foot exercises, but I don't know if you have, and I've tons of creams. I try to massage the scars. But I don't know if you have any suggestions of anything more because it itches and then I'll
Yeah.
scratch.
Yes. Yes. So what I would suggest is sit down, do a few cut cycles, and then retighten the band so it's tighter than normal.
Uh-huh.
Then take a golf ball or again another tennis ball, but a golf ball is better, and roll the golf ball underneath the sole of your foot.
Okay.
So you're not only you forcing blood into your foot, but then that golf ball, because it's a hard surface, is sort of providing acupressure at the bottom.
And you think that will help because the
It
keloid
might
scars
help.
are
I
at the
mean, that's
top.
that it might help. That's what I suggest.
Okay. So
And
just to make clear that the keloid scars are at the top.
yes, yes,
And the main issue is it'll really just start to itch and
yes,
flake because of
yes,
the dryness.
yes. No,
Uh, so
yeah, I know. So we keep that the dryness cuts isn't unfortunate. That's not going to do anything there. What I was why made that suggestion is I want as much blood to be engorged in the lower half of your leg.
okay.
And by doing the cut cycle and then retightening after 2 cycles, and then applying the acupressure at the bottom of your foot, you're really going to engorge, from your ankle on down, the amount of blood in your foot,
Okay.
and that could help.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We're all just trying to do the best we can, right?
Yes, yes,
I
yeah.
think those are my questions, though. I'm definitely a believer. This is my second one. I started with Mercola's
Okay.
recommendation when he introduced it.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I I bumped up, and now I appreciate these webinars.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. And I think we have one more person who raised their hand. Heaney? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Zeni? Nasi? Think
Hi, Steven.
hi.
Can you hear me? Yes,
Yes, I can
thank
hear you.
you. Thank you for all these helpful questions. This is the first time I'm attending
Okay.
the webinar. Some questions for me, and I'm sorry if these might have been addressed in previous webinars, but you mentioned the case of using KAATSU right after an injury. I was wondering if it can be helpful if the injury has been like 2-3 decades ago. In the shoulder blade sort of neck area. That is my first question. And overall, the right side of the body is weak with childbirth and this injury in the 20s.
Okay.
My second question is, do I need to have my phone with me when using KAATSU? I am learning about it. I haven't bought the unit yet. I'm interested in the B2. But my question is, do I need to have the phone with me to be close to the KAATSU? And what if I am somewhere where there is no internet?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that all? So I'll answer the second question first. As long as your phone is within 50 meters of the B2, it will pick up the information. So you're okay. Now, if there are, let's say you're in an office building and there's, various um, walls in between your phone and the B2 unit, it won't penetrate through the walls. But
Mm.
but we made the unit primarily for soccer players and football players or soldiers who wouldn't be using their phone
Mm.
as they were going their training. So we recommend the football players or soccer players put their phones in midfield, like on the sidelines, and then they
Mhm.
can run from 50 meters that way and 50 meters that way. So you don't have to always have the phone on you or near you. It could be as much as 50 meters away. Also,
And that is, sorry, Steve, that would be to collect the data, because let's say I want it to work like
Mhm.
with the compression and release.
Mhm.
So is it just a matter that the phone needs to be nearby for that data collection, or for the unit in total to work?
For the unit total to work.
Okay, so without the phone nearby, the unit cannot work.
Right.
So
Because
let's say if I'm on the plane,
you can use it.
oh, I can, even though
Yeah.
it's on airplane mode.
Uh, oh, that's an interesting question. I believe the answer is almost 100% yes. Because I mean, I always use my phone on the airplane, but I don't always put, forget, I don't always put it on airplane mode. I just have it with me. Um, I have to confirm with our engineer. I think the answer is yes. Now, in these cases, when you're in a plane or you're a far away, what happens there is the unit continues to work, but the data collection occurs when the Bluetooth is or the you're
Reconnected.
reconnected. Yes.
Okay,
So you
okay,
won't have immediate data. You would have to wait till you get into range.
okay. And that would be secondary to me. I
Yeah.
like the practicality of not having the tubes and all that
Yeah.
beside
Yeah.
the data collection. Thank you for that.
And then regards to your first question, on your right side is weaker or is impacted because of an older injury. Yes. Um, our bodies, all of us go through certain things in life and things happen. And so if things are weaker on the right side, what you would do is literally not only would you put a tighter pressure on the right side, you can
Mm.
even use a higher pressure on the right side. And the beauty of, and I'm going to turn on my two units here and I'll show you. So I have turn on, I'm going to keep one and this is how you turn it on. So
Mhm.
it's red. Now I'm going to take the um, app. So I have the app here. I'm going to
Mhm.
hit the cycle mode and you see the left and right. I'm
Yeah,
going to hit
yeah.
left. It's going to pair. Oops.
Mm.
And I'm going to pair the other. And you see it goes from
Yeah,
red,
it turns blue.
now it
Yeah.
turns blue.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so when you do that, the next one, it's arms. And then I
Hmm.
select, you can actually select a different pressure on one side or the other.
I see.
So you can actually apply greater stress on your right side versus your left side.
I
It
see.
would be
Oh,
the equivalent of going to the weight room and picking up 10 pounds on one side and 20 pounds on the other.
interesting. So I would think the injured part would can carry less,
Yes,
but
it can.
using the pressure, you're saying I'm
Yes,
putting more pressure in it
yes,
as if
yes,
it were carrying more.
yes.
Oh.
And that's the beauty of KAATSU because your one side is weaker, we can't lift or we can't move or lift as much,
Hmm.
but we use pressure as a proxy to
Right.
allow greater improvement on the weaker side.
I see. Thank you. Okay. Um, I had written, what is the earliest and the latest time, like from waking up to going to bed to use KAATSU? Like,
Earliest time,
yeah, right after waking up and right
right after
before bed, or
right
is
after
there?
wake, yeah, right after waking up. Uh, a lot of veteran KAATSU users will put on the bands, either arms or legs, and then literally go about their day, brushing their teeth, washing their face, making coffee, making their kids lunch to get outside the door to go to school.
Okay.
Literally, I mean, even before they've dressed to go to work or have started their own day,
Okay.
there are
And
brushing.
before bed, are there any
And before
limits?
bed,
Like,
in general, remember the buckets we have. We have performance, longevity,
right.
and recovery. If we look at the recovery, if sleep is an issue, and even
Mm.
if sleep is not an issue and you want higher quality sleep, in general, you want to use the bands about an hour before you go to bed. In
All
this case,
right. Okay.
you want to incite the or activate the uh, parasympathetic nervous system,
Hmm.
but you don't want to overstimulate it. So, for
Right.
example, if I don't know, you take a load of clothes out of the washer and you start to fold them, and then you decide to walk upstairs and you're doing all these things. What you're actually doing with the bands on is you're producing adrenaline, which
Right.
will
Will
it
increase
is
the
it will,
cortisol level, the stress,
yeah, and it will
body
actually
stress
prevent
level.
you
Yeah.
from going to bed
Right. Yes.
sooner rather than later. So you want to do the opposite. About an hour before the bed, you want to be, chilling out and slowing down, not exciting the body.
Okay. Thank you for that. Final question. Can this help with strengthening the grip? Because, yeah, that's an
Yes.
area that I need to work on.
Yes. So, like I think it was Kathleen, um, had or I forget, yeah, I think it was Kathleen who had we want to take a golf ball, not a golf ball, a tennis ball or a
Uh-huh.
squeeze ball of some sort.
Okay.
Really squeeze and release, squeeze and release. But you can do other things. You can take a damp rag and
Right.
wring it
Okay.
out. You could take that same damp rag and go on a countertop. Um, I know what I do. It sounds a little far-fetched, but when I am working with stroke patients,
Mhm.
especially on their affected side, I'm literally putting a pair of chopsticks in their hand, and they
Mhm.
can't control this chopsticks early. I put a pencil in their hand or a pen in their hand and ask them to handwrite. And of course, the
Mm.
signature is terrible. But that kind of control with KAATSU done frequently, it is amazing to see stroke patients over time be able to get chopsticks and pick up one grain of rice and move it
Wow.
from one side to the other. It takes time, it takes
Yes.
concentration, it takes dedication. But for many of these people, and you sound one of them, you really are dedicated to improving your situation in life, and that's what it takes for anything. But for KAATSU, it's a very good way to work on your tactile feel. This is why we have musicians who use KAATSU. We have
Mm.
surgeons who use KAATSU, people who have to do things very carefully, whether it's a piano or a guitar or
Mm.
surgical instruments, using the KAATSU on your arm as you're practicing or doing things. It's
So
really,
then the focus is on fine motor movement to strengthen the grip.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Stephen, so very much.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay. Next question is, when do I go to medium instead of low setting? You said low was for warm up, and then would I do all 6 levels on medium? Uh, what I said was uh, everybody should start at low pressure. Low pressure is like a warm up for your vascular tissue. And I'll turn the cuts band on here. one finger tightness. Let me turn it back on. Oops. Sorry. I got to turn here. And pair it. There we go. So it's on now. And as it's on, and it's on low, so what's happening is you'll see very quickly, I mean, literally within seconds, the blood is being engorged in this arm now, not this arm. And when I go from a low to medium, from medium to high, I want to check my capillary refill time. So I want to press firmly and then release. I don't know if you can see that here. Let me go here. Maybe it's easier to see here. Press and release. And I want that whiteness, which we call capillary refill time, to come back within a second or two, as in 1001, 1002, 1003. If this is coming back quickly, as you can see it come back very quickly, this is a visual indication that you can go from a low to medium or from a medium to high. And that's how we confirm that the body is ready to move from one level to a higher pressure level. And you can do, yeah, the second part of that question is, would I do six steps, 6 levels on medium? Yes, you can. We have it up to 6 cycles. I think anything beyond that is a little much. So, you can do 2, 3, 4, 5, or six cycle sets. Next question is, and there are just to warn people, there are dozens of questions still remain, so I will try to get through as many as I can. How would you do a bicep session or a tricep session and it says no longer than 10 minutes? The reason why it's no longer than 10 minutes is because you're in the KAATSU constant mode. KAATSU constant mode means the pressure is on the band and it doesn't deflate at all. It just stays in it stays inflated the whole time. The disadvantage of that is you don't get any of the shear stress. So as you can see from my hand, and I don't know if you can notice, I definitely can notice because I'm sort of right here, is I'm right-handed. So my right hand that I use to brush my teeth, write, and everything else is much more vascularly healthy than my left hand. My left hand does get red, but it doesn't get a beefy red like this. So anyway, when the band inflates and deflates, when it deflates, that's when the blood comes rushing out and it moves against the vascular tissue. And when it moves against the vascular tissue, it produces a variety of molecules, mostly nitric oxide vascular endothelial cells, that make the vascular tissue more elastic. If you have only the constant mode, then you don't get that shear stress, or you don't get as much as shear stress. So you have that disadvantage. But if you like to do KAATSU constant, and I would steer you away from KAATSU constant, but some people like the KAATSU constant because you get this massive pump, if you will. You do KAATSU hand grips, and then you do bicep curls. You do the hand grips as a sort of warm up, and then the bicep, and believe me, there is no one in the world who can do the KAATSU constant and do this form of bicep workout and last for 10 minutes. I guarantee you, there's nobody, not NFL players, not Navy SEALs, not bodybuilders. Everybody gives out before 10 minutes. And it's you do your bicep curl. As you contract the muscle and move the bicep slowly, slow up and slow down. When you get to muscular failure, wait or rest only 20 seconds. only 20 seconds, no more than 20 seconds. Do that again. The second set, guaranteed you won't be able to do more than the first set. In ideal world, the first set you can do 30. And this is without weights. If you want to add weights, that's fine. 30 reps slowly. Rest 20 seconds. Because in that 20 seconds, there's not enough time for the lactate to dissipate in your body. There is still some residual lactate in your arm. You do the second set, you won't be able to do 30 reps. So be something south of that. Rest no more than 20 seconds. Do a third set of however many reps you can. Maybe it's 8, maybe it's 10. Rest no more than 20 seconds, all the way until you can only do 1 or 2 reps. And this would be a killer bicep. I would recommend you do that. Before you do that, take a tape measure. Measure your bicep. Relaxed at your arm. Just measure the girth of your bicep. Do that. Hand grips to warm up. Then slow contracted bicep curls with or without weights. Resting 20 seconds between each set. And by 10 minutes, take off the band and then measure your bicep. Guaranteed it will be greater. 100% guaranteed it will be greater. Let's see. Okay, the question is actually related to the very first question earlier, where it says, it was just my leg bands that got wet. I was walking besides the ocean. Okay, good. Not your controller. I have a question regarding the pressure to use if you decide to do a workout with 20 to 30% regular weight without cycling. So I think so you're using, let's say you typically lift with, I'll say 50-pound weights, 50-pound dumbbells or whatever, barbell, whatever you have. And you're asking if you do a workout, not with 50 pounds, but with 10-pound dumbbells or weights, and you don't want to do the KAATSU cycle, what would you do? You would do the highest pressure that you could withstand, that you would do whatever exercise you want to do using the protocols that I just mentioned, moving the limbs slowly, both in the eccentric and concentric direction, so both up and down slowly while you're contracting the muscle, resting only 20 seconds in between each set. That 20 seconds rest is absolutely critical. Are there any concerns from using KAATSU if you're taking a low dose metoprolol succinate? I don't know what that is. Its purpose in this case is to lower or slow the heart rate and push blood flow to the extremities. I don't know. I absolutely don't know if you take that low dose medication whose purpose is to lower or slow the heart rate and push the blood flow to the extremities. I don't know the answer to that question. And what I would do is to ask your physician who prescribed that to you if KAATSU is appropriate. And if the physician didn't know about KAATSU, then I would simply, you can write us at info@kaatsu.com and we can provide information. So I apologize. I don't know that answer. Next question is, if I put them outside to dry, should I not use them until they completely dry? Okay, so this is the person who they had the leg bands got wet as they're walking to the ocean, and they want to know if they should put the bands out to dry and not use them until they're completely dry. No, so definitely don't put them in the washing dryer. You could just let them air dry. And if you don't mind getting a little bit wet, you could use them. The bands actually are neoprene, and they can get wet. And if you don't mind using wet bands or damp bands, perfectly okay to be used. Um, if you get a C4 KAATSU unit, can you go for a walk outside? How does it cycle? What do you need to take with you to create the cycling? So the C4 unit is the same thing as the C3 unit. The tubes are connected to your leg bands, and the unit actually has a belt clip, and you simply put the belt clip uh, on your waist, on your belt, or in your pants, and it cycles pressure on, pressure off as you walk. Um, I've weight trained for 45 years and was taught to rest the body part or muscle group, back and biceps, chest and triceps. I have just worked out for at least 48 hours to give the muscle tissue time to repair and recover. Is that recommended when using the KAATSU bands? Um, you can, but the reason why you weight train, the purpose of your weight training, any body part, was to push the body, tear the muscle fibers, create that micro trauma, and then the growth hormone are produced in order to repair that micro trauma. So you needed time for the body to repair the micro tears that you created by lifting weights. And that's absolutely true. That is standard protocol. With KAATSU, if you're not tearing the muscle fiber, if you're not creating that micro trauma by the muscle tears in the muscle fiber, there is no need for a 48-hour or whatever number of hours for recovery because you haven't created the micro trauma in the first place. And so the traditional weight training protocols were established because, for very valid reasons, you're tearing those muscle fibers. But now, if there are no muscle fibers torn, but you're still producing the growth hormone, you can work out hard every day. If you send an email to info@kaats.com, we will send you the daily workout regimen of Dr. Sato, who's 78, still works out hard every day, still uses very low weight, and still uses KAATSU at low, medium, and high pressures. So, and he's been doing it now for 59 years. I've traveled with him. I've gone many places with Dr. Sato, and he never takes a day off. Um, and if you see his photos of his body, you swear that he was an incredible bodybuilder, but he's not lifting heavy weights. When he's working out and with any kind of equipment, he removes the pin from wherever plate, and he always either just he puts the pin at the highest plate. So he's only using, depending on the machine, 10 pounds at most. So yeah, you could use it. You could do KAATSU weight training with low weights every day. You don't need a recovery day. You can do different body parts on different days, but you can use it every day. Next question. Are there contraindications for people with circulatory problems or high or low blood pressure? Um, uh, there can be, but if you follow um, the KAATSU protocols that were developed for people with cardiac issues, meaning low pressure, start with low, um, don't do intense or vigorous exercises. KAATSU is perfectly okay. With high or low blood pressure, same thing applies. The protocols were put in place by a team of cardiologists who studied 12,000 people over 10 years. So it was a long range, a long-term research project. And so, and these were people with cardiac issues, heart attacks, stents, um, strokes, heart diseases of various kinds. So, and we developed these protocols to be effective, but also more importantly, the first protocol was to be safe. And so, um, again, following the protocols is great. Don't follow protocols, then there's always risks. Um, Next question is, what is the effect of using KAATSU without exercising? For example, sitting or lying or between exercises. So that's exactly how I use KAATSU for most of the time. Yes, I do go on KAATSU walks with my wife, sometimes with the arms on my legs, sometimes arms on my arms, but um, most of the time I'm doing webinars, I'm at my computer sending emails, um, answering emails, answering phone calls, etc. And so most of the time I'm sedentary when doing KAATSU. When I'm sedentary and doing KAATSU, I have this effect. I'm sitting here, I'm occasionally using my hands, but mostly I'm just sitting here. And you can see that I have an engorgement of blood in the limbs even with micro movements, like typing on a keyboard, I am creating a variety of stress in the arms. I'm creating a variety of stress, and you can see the color of my hands. Oh, this is the KAATSU, and this is not KAATSU. So I would only have this effect when I'm exercising or doing KAATSU. KAATSU is exercise, even if I'm just sitting here or lying here. I mentioned earlier we had some of the, I'll call them type A personalities, the soldiers, the professional athletes, the entertainers, the celebrities who have things to do. And they're starting KAATSU right away as they're lying in their hospital bed. So the primary effect is increasing the elasticity of your vascular tissue. But even if you do micro movements, typing on a computer, holding a book and turning the pages, you're still building up lactate in the muscles that is still sending information to the brain, to the pituitary gland, that's shooting out growth hormone. So there are great benefits while you're just sitting around watching TV, reading a book, talking with your spouse, or what have you. And that's why we encourage everybody to do KAATSU daily because there are these benefits. It doesn't have to be doing push-ups or leg presses or different kind of exercises. You can get benefit from KAATSU just going about your day, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, making coffee, folding clothes, washing the dishes. These are all great times to use KAATSU. We call that double stacking. So I'm going to have to wash the dishes regardless. I'm going to have to take out my clothes and fold them, or I will. Um, that's a great time to be using KAATSU. Next question is, in addition to weight loss, I have edema. My feet and legs swell up every day. I have to spend a lot of time every day with my feet elevated. I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about using KAATSU with this problem. Um, yeah, I would not use KAATSU, especially with my feet elevated. Um, and why? Because if you're elevating your feet, blood is coming down, you know, by gravity. But yet with KAATSU, you want the blood to stay in the limb, not out of the limb. So I would not recommend KAATSU in your case with your issues. Um, Also, when I when I first used KAATSU bands in the gym yesterday, I cycled through two 6-set cycles, but I had not completed my workout. So I finished my workout without the KAATSU bands. Can I use the KAATSU bands for my complete 45-minute workout, even if it requires 3 full sets at 6 cycles? Yes, you can. Again, we make our recommendations for everybody. And I think it was Octavio before, very fit, very active 55-year-old. He and you sound like outliers. So you could do more KAATSU as long as it's in the cycle mode. That's not a problem. So there's no real limit. As long as you're not getting lightheaded, you're not getting nauseous, your hands don't get damp or what do you call it, tingly, you should be okay. And if you've got a 45-minute workout with KAATSU and you're cycling, you should be okay. Um, Next question is, when do you move to the next level of KAATSU? Currently, I'm on low setting with 6 cycles. So I'm going to turn this back on and I'll show you here. So it's now on. Um, and how you move to the next pressure level is you check your capillary refill time. What you do is you press your, and this could be your leg or your calf. I have it on my upper arm. So you press firmly and release, and you see how the skin goes white and then fills back up with blood. We call that capillary refill time. Capillary, the very small, tiny veins in our body. Press, release, and if that comes back within a second, second and a half, you can move up to the next level. This capillary refill time is a visual indication that it is okay to move to the next level as long as it's fast. If, for example, I pressed 1001, 1002, 1003, and it was still white, pressure is much too high, and you need to remove the band, put it much lighter, and use a lower pressure. But if you have fast capillary refill time, that is your body's indication that you can go up to the next level. Next question is, how often are these Q&A webinars? My KAATSU is due to arrive on Friday, so I'd like to have I will have some experience soon. We definitely have them monthly, and sometimes we have them more than monthly. Many times we have specialty sessions. For example, I think we have a session tonight where I will be discussing KAATSU with people who use Aura rings. But we also have sessions with people with orthopedic issues, or we've had special sessions for people with cardiac issues, etc. So as long as you have an email, as long as you've registered with us with an email, we send out notifications to people with issues. Next question, is there a number that is too many cycles per day? 6, 12, 18, unlimited. I would say in one session, if you're doing 12 cycles, that's a lot. Now, I know there are some firemen, first responders, police, soldiers, etc., who've been injured and want to get back as quickly as possible. They've gone as many as 12 twice a day. At some point, there is a law of diminishing return. Now, even if you have a law of diminishing return, there's still some return. So, we set the number of cycles set at one time is 6. We think that's ideal. If you want to do 2 sessions a day, 6 on the arms, 6 on the legs in the morning, 6 on the arms, 6 on the evening. A lot of people do that. I would say unlimited is pardon the expression, a little too crazy, a little too much. And I think if you are holding steady at 6 cycles, you can do that over a very long period of time. I've been doing KAATSU for 25 years, always generally in the same manner. I don't go overboard, but I've been doing it for 25 years. So it's become part of my lifestyle, and that's what we would primarily encourage you to have it as a part of your lifestyle. However number is most comfortable to you. Next question. My husband has two cranial crani craniotomy. I'm mispronouncing that. Um, uh, Surgery on the skull on March 18th. And then 3 weeks later, all due to falling while cross-country skiing. He is totally recovered and was discharged by the brain surgeon. He cross-country skis every day or bikes every day. Is cut safe for him with this past history of brain bleeds? Ooh, I don't know. That is a case where the surgeon would have to make that decision. One reason why I hesitated is because even now, when I'm doing KAATSU on my arm, I am creating additional capillaries in my brain, and I don't know the extent of what's happened to his brain. Um, and so I would defer to a decision made by his brain surgeon. Now, if his brain surgeon is not familiar with KAATSU, we can share information with him. And we do have a number of, in fact, our first advisor to the company was a professor of neurology at the Harvard Medical School. So we can ask, we can give him information, his surgeon, and then the surgeon, if they have subsequent information, we can introduce him to people who are familiar with KAATSU and they can talk brain surgeon to brain surgeon. Um, let's see. I use a power plate frequently. Can I use KAATSU bands while on the power plate? Normally, we recommend not. And the reason why is if we have the KAATSU bands on your legs, we build up lactate more quickly. And when we build up lactate more quickly, um, and you're on the power plate, as you know, it's quite strenuous, and you could fall, not because of anything except fatigue or muscle giving out on you. So we recommend not. However, if you are a frequent power plate user, then in this case, and you are you're familiar with KAATSU and you can use KAATSU at a low pressure, I don't think there's nothing medically or scientifically or physiologically a reason why you should not. So if you're strong, if you know the scope of your or limit of your strength, and you do PowerPoint frequently and you want to add KAATSU, then go ahead. But normally, if you're not a regular power plate user and you start KAATSU, this is a little dangerous, not of anything other than falling. Um, I know there's many more questions, several dozens. Um, and I have another meeting. I didn't know this was going to go over 2 hours. So I'm going to answer two more questions and then I'm going to have to call it a day. And I sincerely apologize, but I didn't realize there would be so many questions. And I appreciate all the questions. But I need to move on to my next meeting. I have back-to-back-to-back webinars today. Second to last question is, I have a KAATSU 2.0. How many cycles can I do in one session on arms and legs? I would recommend six. Six would be what I would recommend the maximum on your arms, and then six on arms and six on legs. Let's see. Last question, and I apologize for everybody else. I will try to, what I'm going to do is I would try to get a copy of all the remaining questions and answer them. Last question is, how long can you keep the bands on? You can keep the bands on for as long as 6 cycle sets would be on your arms and 6 cycle sets on your legs. Um, Interesting question. Can you use it while driving? I drive a bus. I would definitely not use it while driving, especially a bus, especially a public bus. I know it's okay, but the last thing you want to do is get in an accident, not caused by you, maybe caused by somebody else, and police officers there or the other drivers there, and you're sitting in the driver's seat with these strange bands on your arms. Um, you know, Lawyers would say, hey, you got an accident because you were doing KAATSU or doing exercising while you should be focused on driving. So I would avoid that. So I want to thank everybody for your time and your patience. And I apologize for having to go to my next meeting, but it's been a pleasure to be with you for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So thank you very much. And this will be recorded and stored on our YouTube channel. Take care.